Yo, welcome to Reezy Does It. I am T Reezy. Today we'll be discussing Tupac versus Biggie. This is one I've been wanting to do for a while, y'all, and I'm finally getting to it. So let's get to it. So in '93, Tupac and Biggie released a song called Party and Bullshit, which it did okay, but it helped put Biggie on the map. Tupac let Biggie open up a lot of shows for him whenever Pac would be in New York performing, and they formed a bond. They got really cool. That same year, Pac released his second album, Strictly For My Niggas. He was also filming Above the Rim in New York City. And during the filming of Above the Rim, you know, it was shot in New York. Pac met Haitian Jack at a New York City nightclub. And Haitian Jack was a notorious New York City drug lord. So him and Pac and Haitian Jack got really tight, and they started running together, even though people like, from what I hear, Mike Tyson and Biggie told Pac, you know, watch Haitian Jack, is not a good idea to run with him. And it would have been a good idea for Pac to listen to them, since both of them are from New York, where Haitian Jack is from. And late '93, at a New York City hotel, Pac was with Haitian Jack and crew, and there was this girl, Ayanna Jackson. Remember that name? She put out she claimed that Pac raped her. And knowing what I know about Pac, I wouldn't see Pac having to rape anybody. You know, I just don't. But anyway, a rape charge eventually ended up coming out on Tupac and Haitian Jack and crew. And the court cases were separate. Like, Pac's court case was separate from theirs for some reason. So let's get on to '94. In '94, the Above the Rim movie and soundtrack come out. Tupac had a role in Above the Rim. It was a good role. Pac was a great actor. And also the soundtrack from Above the Rim came out. Pac had two songs on that. Pain, which is probably my favorite song by Pac. And he had a song, Loyal to the Game, that he was on with Tretch, and some others. But Big Stretch, which was Pac's homeboy from New York, he was on the So Much Pain, the Pain song that was on the Above the Rim album back then as well. So, like I said, the Above the Rim movie and soundtrack come out in '94. Biggie Smalls' album Ready to Die comes out, and Biggie jumped on the scene pretty hard, him and Bad Boy. So in November of '94, keep in mind, Pac's still fighting court battles for these rape allegations. November, first off, before I get to this, the court cases were separate. Haitian Jack and his crew cases were separate from Tupac's. So Tupac goes on the New York City news network and says he doesn't understand why his case is separate from theirs. And he said some other things, and Haitian Jack took offense to that. So November '94, there was a shooting at Quad Studio in Manhattan where Tupac was robbed and shot. And from what I understand, Puffy, Biggie, Lil C's, they were all at the studio. From what I understand, Lil C seen Pac, told him to come up. And when Pac goes in, it was a setup. He was shot. Pac was told that he was doing a song, coming to do a feature for an artist named Little Sean. But it was a setup. Jimmy Henchman and others were behind it, allegedly. All right, let's skip to '95. In '95, Tupac is finally sentenced for the rape allegations. He's sentenced 1.5 years to 4.5 years in prison. Me Against the World drops March of 95. Tupac was already in jail when the album dropped. And Tupac was in jail with the #1 album in the world. Later that year, we had the Source Awards in 95, where Suge Knight comes on stage and disses Puffy. Says, if you don't want a CEO all in the videos dancing, come to Death Row. And some beef was already brewing between Suge and Puffy, because Suge had a homeboy named Jake that was shot and killed in Atlanta, and allegedly Puffy's bodyguards had something to do with that. Okay, so while Tupac is locked up, Biggie Smalls is on top of the world. He's probably the #1 rap artist in the world at the time. And Tupac being locked up didn't hurt Biggie Smalls' chances of becoming the #1 rap artist in the world at the time. So while Tupac is locked up, he hears a song by Biggie called "Who Shot You?" And first off, Big, Puff, Lil C's, all of them were there when Pac got shot. So that, if Pac wasn't already thinking it, when he heard that "Who Shot You?", that made him think that they had something to do with it. Whether they did or not, I don't know. You just have to make your own assumptions on that. But later that year, Tupac does finally get released on $3 million bail, and he's signed to Death Row. So Suge Knight and his attorney at the time, David Kenner, go to Rikers Island, and they, make numerous trips to Rikers Island and converse with Pac and end up getting him to sign. And that's the only way. For some odd reason, nobody was stepping up to try to get Pac out of jail, but Suge Knight did. And they say Suge dropped a bag on Pac for doing those songs on the Above the Rim soundtrack, like more than any other artist got for dropping songs on that album. So Tupac gets out of jail late 95, signs to Death Row, and Tupac is on a mission to attack Biggie, Puffy, and Bad Boy, and anybody affiliated with them. Okay, so 96, Tupac drops All Eyes on Me. And by this time, it's full-fledged Death Row versus Bad Boy. Suge has bad blood with Puff because his homeboy Jake got shot in Atlanta, which allegedly Puffy and his security has something to do with. So All Eyes on Me is released. It's very, very, very successful. Probably Pac's most successful album. Like I said, Me Against the World was released in 95. That's probably my favorite Pac album, but All Eyes on Me was super dope. So All Eyes on Me drops early 96, and it does very well. It's very, very successful. A double disc. Later that year, Tupac drops Hit 'Em Up, which he goes after Biggie. The song starts off talking about Biggie. First off, there's pictures out there with Faith with Tupac, and they say that Faith had relations with Pac, when he got out of jail and when he came to Cali and got down with Death Row. So when Hit 'Em Up dropped, the first words was, "That's why I effed your B, you fat MF," talking about Big. And he was this is the first song I've ever heard of this type coming at somebody like that. Cube had the No Vaseline, which basically ended NWA's career, But I've never heard anybody just come out and say personal things like Pac said on this song. When I heard this song, I knew Pac was gonna die. And Pac was my favorite rapper ever. But when I heard this song, I knew Pac was gonna die. You can't just come out and say stuff like that and not expect any repercussion. So, and also that year at the Soul Train Music Awards, there was an altercation between Death Row and Bad Boy. Guns were drawn, but nobody was shot or anything that night. So later that year, there's an incident at the Lakewood Mall in LA. It could be in Compton, but it's in the LA area. And Suge Knight is affiliated with the Mob Piru set out of Compton. So there's a member of Mob Piru, one of Suge's little homies, Trayvon Lane. He's at the mob with his Death Row chain. So Orlando Anderson, aka Baby Lane, a notorious Southside Compton Crip, sees Trayvon, and rumors are that Orlando Anderson, aka Baby Lane, took Trayvon's Death Row chain. Orlando Anderson was the nephew of Keefe D. Keefe D was a LA drug lord. Rumors have it that Puffy and Big used to run with Keefe D and the Southside Compton Crips. They would use them for security when they had shows in Cali or whenever they had to be in Cali. And I have to admit, that was smart of Puff. If you beefing with Suge, why not click up with his set's arch rivals, the Southside Compton Crips? So months later, Mike Tyson has a fight in Vegas. So, Suge brings the whole Pac, the whole entourage, all them, Mobb Deep to the fight. Fight didn't last that long. Mike Tyson knocked old boy out probably in about a minute and a half, 2 or 3 minutes, I don't know. But anyway, they see Trayvon Lane, Baby Lane, at the fight. And from what I understand, excuse me, I didn't mean to say Trayvon Lane. If I did, they see Orlando Anderson, Baby Lane, at the fight. So Trayvon Lane goes up to Pac and tells him in his ear, "That's the guy that took my chain." So Tupac takes it upon himself and storms off to get Baby Lane. Keep in mind now, Baby Lane is a certified hitter in these streets. He was anyway. He was official, And rumor has it that Pac got put down with Mob Piru through Suge's influence, which I don't think that was the best idea for Pac to do. Death Row was split. You had Crips, you had Bloods. Snoop from Long Beach was a rolling 20 Crip. I'm sure Daz was the same thing. Then you got Corrupt. Corrupt was Big Eula homie from the rolling 60s. So you got Crips, you got Bloods, and Pac, Suge was not a good influence on Pac, but Pac was a very loyal guy. Suge bailed him out of jail. So Pac did get put down with Mob Piru, from what I understand. So Trayvon Lane goes and tells Pac, "That's the guy that took my chain." So Pac takes it upon himself to run and rush Baby Lane and punch him, and the rest of Suge's entourage, which was mostly Mob Piru, stomped him out. My thing is, why the hell is Pac doing this? You the star, you the money, man. You got real gangsters around you to handle shit like this. You feel me? But anyhow, that's what happened. And they stomped Baby Lane out that day, that night. And later that night, I know y'all seen the pictures of Pac riding with Suge in a black BMW. That's the night that Pac got shot. Allegedly was shot by Baby Lane. According to Keefe D, Baby Lane's uncle, or Orlando Anderson, aka Baby Lane, Keefe D was his uncle, or is his uncle. And Keefe D got in some trouble in later years and admitted to authorities, to get himself out of trouble, that Orlando Anderson, his nephew, did kill Pac. So Baby Lane, Orlando Anderson, he got killed in '98. at a car wash in Compton. So by the time Keefy D talked to authorities, Baby Lane was already dead. But that's what happened. So Tupac gets shot September 7th of 95 in Vegas. Tupac died September 13th of 95 in a Vegas hospital. First off, by Tupac taking it upon himself to start this and run over and punch Baby Lane, Baby Lane took offense to that. Baby Lane was a real gangster, you feel me? And then you got Pac, a rapper, you know, Baby Lane wasn't finna let that slide, you feel me? So he had to get some get back for that, and they did, you know. Like I said, Pac died March 13th of 95 in Vegas. And Machiavelli, the album drops in excuse me, I didn't mean to say Pac died November of 95. He was shot September of 96 and died. He was shot September 7th of 96 and died September 13th of 96. And in November 96, the Machiavelli album drops, which has the song Against All Odds, which, you know, Pac, the quad shooting that had happened in 94 when Pac was shot and robbed and he thought Puffy and Big had something to do with it, he went straight after them. And Haitian Jack, he went after Haitian Jack on this song, Jimmy Henchman. He went after quite a few people. And I remember, you know, Big came up while Pac was in jail. So when Pac, I remember one of the lines off of Hit 'Em Up, Pac said, "Now it's all about Versace. You jocking my style. 5 shots couldn't drop me. I took it and smiled." So, you know, he was sending the shot to Biggie and whoever tried to assassinate Pac. You know, Pac was bigger than life at that time before he passed while he was with Death Row. But the Machiavelli album was dope, but that Against All Odds, man, like Pac said, some of the truest shit he ever spoke. So let's jump to 97. Puffy decides to have a party in LA, of all places, after Tupac has been killed. And, you know, rumors are circulating, people thinking Bad Boy has something to do with it. So Puffy comes up with the bright idea to have a party in LA, you know, and the whole West Coast loved Tupac. So they had a party lets out. Puffy and his entourage pull out with Biggie in the truck and shots erupt. Next thing you know, Biggie's hit. Biggie dies later that night, you know. And allegedly it was a member of Suge's gang, or the gang Suge's affiliated with, Ahmaud Paru, that killed Biggie, you know. Not going to get this person's name. I'll let you do your own research on that, on the alleged shooter of Biggie. But later, Biggie was shot and killed in the early hours of March 9th of 97. Life After Death, Biggie's final album that he recorded, was released on March 25th of 97. Now let's go back to this lady, Ayanna Jackson. So she's the one that put the rape, she's the one that got Pac charged for rape. So if Pac really did not rape this woman, let's examine everything that this woman is responsible for. First off, if she didn't, if the allegations were false, then this is what she did. She caused Pac to go to jail. Okay? So, first off, if this hadn't have happened, Pac and Haitian Jack and them might not have ever fell out, not at that time anyway. So Haitian Jack had a lot of power in New York. You know, the people that shot and robbed Pac in the Quad Studios were affiliated with Haitian Jack. So like, if it wasn't for her, they would have never fell out. Pac would have never went to jail. Pac probably wouldn't have got shot and robbed because he would have still been cool with Haitian Jack now, at that time anyway. Pac wouldn't have had to go to jail. He wouldn't have had to sign to death row, which with Suge Knight leading you're on a crash course, especially the way that Pac took to Suge. So he would have never had to sign to death row. Pac and Biggie wouldn't have fell out probably, because the shooting at Quad Studios probably would have never happened, because Pac and Haitian Jack wouldn't have fell out. So Biggie and Pac would have still been cool. Pac would not have had to sign to death row. And it might be a chance that Pac would not have gotten shot in Vegas, because rumor has it that there was a bounty out on the death row chains. So that's probably what made Orlando Anderson, aka Baby Lane, want to take Trayvon Lane's chain. You feel me? So like, if these rape allegations had have never happened, Pac would have never went to jail, never would have had to sign a Bad Boy. He would have still had his own deal on Interscope. Pac and Biggie wouldn't have fell out, because Pac would have never got shot at Quad Studios. The reason that Pac and Haitian Jack fell out was over these rape allegations and what Pac said on the New York News Network, which caused them to fall out. If the rape allegations would have never happened, this would have never happened. Pac would have never had to sign a death row, still would have had his deal on Interscope. And Biggie might have been safe and wouldn't have died either, because I think Biggie's shooting was revenge for Pac. So if Biggie and Pac had never fell out, Biggie would have never got shot. You understand? So if these rape allegations were false, this lady caused a lot of destruction. A lot of destruction. But that's all we have today. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all could have been anywhere, but you're here listening to me, and I appreciate you. And guess what? Boy, you should have known by now. Reezy does it.